What are you seeing from the management perspective of properties these days? Obviously, inflation being a real conversation. Are you seeing management companies increase their cost per unit to manage, or what's that been like for you?
Yeah, so it's definitely going to depend on the management style. Are you going with the flat percentage of gross collected rents, or is there a payroll involved with a small percentage of gross collected rents? So, if we're hiring someone at 8.5% of gross collected rents on a smaller asset where they're not on site and it can't support a full payroll, that's artificially going to increase as the rents increase. So that charge isn't going to change there. I haven't seen too much of that payroll piece being increased too much. We already assume that it's going to increase about 2 to 3% annually. So we have that built into our calculations. It to an extent, could it be 4%? Could it be 8%? Could it be matching CPI? Most definitely. And we'll have to have that conversation when that rises. But for the most part, haven't seen property management increase too much. I know a lot of property management companies have uh, increased their rates because it's harder to find uh, talent essentially on their team, and so that's a big piece. We haven't experienced it yet, but I'm sure it's there.
And there's tiers to it as well, right? The more doors you have, the better price break you're gonna get. So let's take like
Oh
the
yeah,
Hickory unit. Was it 44 units? How many units was the Hickory one? I'm trying to remember.
44 units. Yep.
44 units. So did you guys project a fixed basis per door, or did you do a payroll plus fixed basis? How did you do that for the property management on that one?
Yeah, so what we actually did was we're doing 4.5% of gross collected rents, so not other income, just the rents. And then outside of that is the actual maintenance cost. So whatever the maintenance cost tech is to have on site, if that's $500 a week. And then just splitting renewals and new lease fees. So on every new lease, I think we pay $100 or $50 on renewals. It's 50 or 100 as well. So that's satisfying the management company. They've got scale in the area. They can survive with a lower percentage than maybe 6%. And then we pass. It's basically a pass through for those maintenance fees because that's a big piece. There's a lot of maintenance to be done on these properties when you have a pool, when you have an elevator, when you've got multiple laundry facilities. There's also going to be lots of expense to operate that. So we're pretty comfortable at the 4.5%. It also incentivizes our property manager to work because the more money they make, the more money they're going to make at the end of the day. So when I say that, that means the more collections they have, the more money they are going to make.
When we look at your expenses overall in a deal, on average, percentage of expenses to gross potential rents, let's say, are you guys sub 30%? Are you more at 35%, 25%? What are you guys seeing these days on your projections?
Yeah, so on projections, we're about 35, 40%. So if you see people in multifamily, obviously excluding, debt service, asset management, CapEx reserves. Well, actually, we include our CapEx reserves in that. If someone's below 30%, it's either a brand new development deal where the expenses aren't going to be there, or they're just shortchanging themselves on the expenses. So I definitely think you need to be above 30%. We're never lower than 30% on any of our deals. Like I said, we're usually 35% or 40. The only space I can really see someone being below that 30% is like storage or industrial or like retail where the expenses aren't that high. So, obviously as you get a little bigger on deals, there's some expenses that get broken out more because it's across more units. So it might make a little bit more sense if there's a lower percentage. But again, if you're below 30% before, that debt service, take a look at those numbers again because they might be too conservative or excuse me, too aggressive.